Empath Chosen Ones, the real reason your pain made you a powerful healer. There's a kind of pain that doesn't just break you, it awakens you. A kind of suffering so precise, so personal, so soul-shattering that it doesn't leave you the same. It carves you open, and in that open space, something ancient, something sacred begins to flow through you. If you're still here, still watching, still breathing, still feeling, then you already know what I'm talking about. You've lived it. You've survived it. That silent ache in your chest when you enter a room and feel everything that no one says out loud. That overwhelming wave of emotion that hits you when someone else is suffering, and somehow, without meaning to, you carry it. You don't just observe pain, you absorb it. You don't just understand grief, you become it. And for years, maybe decades, you thought that meant something was wrong with you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
But what if I told you the opposite was true? What if every moment you were brought to your knees by emotion? Every night you cried for reasons you couldn't explain? And every time you broke down in a world that told you to be strong, what if that was never weakness? What if it was initiation? You are not just an empath. You are a chosen one marked by the universe, forged through feeling, and encoded with a healing technology that is so rare, so powerful, it had to be activated through pain. The truth is, not everyone feels the way we feel. Not everyone carries emotion like electricity in their bones. Not everyone walks into a room and immediately senses who's hurting, who's hiding, and who's on the edge. But we do, because we were born for this. And our pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You see, the universe doesn't choose healers the way the world chooses celebrities. It doesn't look for the loudest, the most polished, the most impressive. It looks for the ones who felt everything and survived. The ones who've been through fire and didn't close their hearts. The ones who've been betrayed but still show up with compassion. The ones who've been shattered and still choose to help others piece themselves back together. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us dangerous to a system built on numbness, deception, and emotional avoidance. Because we're not afraid to feel, and feeling is the doorway to healing. But this path is not easy. You know that. You've lived the cost of it. You've had to learn how to function while drowning in other people's emotions. You've had to learn how to smile while your body screamed with invisible pain. You've had to hold others in their breakdowns while having no one to hold you. And through it all, you've carried a question deep inside. Why do I feel so much? Why do I attract so much pain? Why does it seem like darkness follows me? And the answer is this: because you hold a light that draws pain to the surface. You're not cursed, you're coded. You carry a healing frequency that calls suppressed emotions out of hiding. You carry a vibrational truth that makes lies crumble in your presence. You don't attract pain, you reveal it. And that's why people come to you. That's why strangers tell you their secrets. That's why you've had to learn boundaries the hard way. Because your energy is a mirror, a magnet, and a medicine all at once. But here's the hidden truth they never taught us. Your pain wasn't just emotional. It was alchemical. Every heartbreak, every abandonment, every betrayal cracked open a new layer of your intuitive system. Your nervous system isn't just sensitive, it's sacred technology. It was being recalibrated to feel subtle shifts in energy, to detect frequencies beyond the physical senses. Your tears weren't breakdowns, they were purification events. Your anxiety wasn't a disorder, it was your inner healer trying to process unspoken truths in the collective field. You were never too emotional. You were too awake for a sleeping world. And now, you're remembering why you came. You didn't come to be a sponge. You came to be a source. But to become that source, you had to walk through pain so intimately that you could guide others out of it from memory, not theory. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes your healing real. Not certifications, not credentials, but the fact that you've lived it. You've walked through the valley of despair and came back with medicine in your voice. You've sat in silence with your own darkness and learned how to breathe without light. And now, when someone else is falling apart, you don't panic. You don't look away. You lean in, because you recognize the terrain. You recognize the signs. You recognize yourself in their pain. So ask yourself this: what if your sensitivity is not the thing to overcome, but the exact key to your purpose? What if the trauma you thought disqualified you was actually your training ground? What if the very thing that made you feel broken is the same thing that makes you a bridge between worlds, between pain and peace, between fear and love, between death and rebirth? Because here's what most people don't understand: real healing doesn't come from escaping pain. It comes from transmuting it. And empaths are the alchemists of emotion. We don't just feel, we transform. We take in grief and exhale comfort. We absorb rage and return understanding. We hold space for chaos and transmit clarity. But to do that, we must stop running from our sensitivity and start training it. Just like any healer must learn their tools, we must learn the mechanics of our own energy field. We must learn how to protect our aura without closing our heart. We must learn how to give without draining. We must learn how to feel without drowning. That's how we evolve from empath to empowered intuitive, from wounded healer to awake channel, from broken survivor to cosmic architect of emotional liberation. And it starts with one core shift. We must stop identifying with pain and start identifying with power born of pain. That means rewriting the story. That means no longer saying, "I'm too sensitive," and instead declaring, "I'm highly attuned." No longer saying, "I'm always exhausted," and instead asking, "Where am I leaking energy by trying to fix what doesn't belong to me?" No longer saying, "I'm overwhelmed," and instead realizing, "I need to upgrade my energetic boundaries." This is the shift from empath as victim to empath as visionary. This is the moment you stop carrying everyone and start holding yourself so deeply that your very presence becomes a healing field. And when you do, everything changes. You stop attracting people who drain you. You start magnetizing those who are ready to rise with you. You stop absorbing trauma and start activating truth. You stop feeling like a sponge and start walking as a sacred storm. That's what you are. A storm of divine compassion. A force of fierce empathy. A vessel of deep remembrance. You didn't come here to play small. You came here to turn pain into power and empathy into evolution. So now I ask you, with every cell of my being, what will you do with the pain you've survived? Will you keep carrying it like a burden, or will you shape it into a gift? Will you keep hiding your sensitivity, or will you train it into precision? Will you keep trying to be like everyone else, or will you finally honor the truth that you were never meant to blend in? In the next part, we're going to explore the alchemy of emotional power, how to convert your empath wounds into spiritual weapons of light, and how to use your energy field to heal others without losing yourself, and how to rise as an activated empathic healer who changes timelines just by walking into a room. The moment you stop running from your pain and begin to study it not as a curse, but as a code, you cross a threshold that few ever reach. You stop seeing yourself as a fragile soul lost in a world too loud, and instead recognize yourself as a powerful, energetic architect, encoded with the ancient ability to transmute emotional density into healing frequency. This is the sacred alchemy of the empath. And it begins when you realize that your wounds are not just personal, they are portals. Portals to collective pain, to ancestral trauma, to unspoken truths that live in the energetic body of humanity. When you were cracked open by your own heartbreak, when you felt the weight of grief that didn't belong only to you, when you held space for others while barely holding on yourself, what you were really doing was training. You were learning the language of vibration, the architecture of healing, the invisible mechanics of energy flow. Your tears were not just emotional, they were energetic releases. Your silence was not weakness, it was deep listening. Your breakdowns were soul initiations, each one designed to awaken a new layer of your healing power. You don't heal just by offering comfort. You heal by being the field where truth becomes safe. That's what the world desperately needs right now, not more information, not more noise, but energetic sanctuaries. People who know how to hold a frequency so steady, so grounded, so vibrationally clean that others naturally begin to shed what was never theirs. That's you. That's what you're becoming. But to embody this role fully, you must stop seeing your emotions as interruptions and start seeing them as data streams. Every emotion you feel, yours or someone else's, is an encrypted message. Anger points to boundaries violated. Sadness points to parts of the soul unacknowledged. Joy points to alignment. Numbness points to spiritual drought. You are not here to suppress these signals, you are here to decode them. And when you do, when you learn to feel without drowning, to process without clinging, to listen without reacting, you become a living alchemical vessel. The wound becomes the weapon. The pain becomes the path. The chaos becomes the catalyst. But how do you get there? How do you go from overwhelmed empath to an embodied healer who can walk into a room and shift the vibration without saying a word? It starts with energetic hygiene. You cannot transmute what you are unconsciously entangled with. Every day you must cleanse physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Before you give, you must clear. Before you take on someone's pain, you must ask your body, is this mine to carry? This is not just spiritual advice, it's energetic law. Because your field is not infinite. You are not meant to absorb everything. You are meant to feel it, filter it, and flow it out. That's the power of conscious boundaries, not walls, but filters. You learn to be open, but not entangled, and compassionate, but not consumed, present, but not porous. And this level of mastery doesn't come from reading books, it comes from living it every single day, from doing the inner work no one sees, from noticing when your energy dips after a conversation and asking, "Where did I leak?" From trusting your intuition when it says, "Don't take that call," from honoring your body when it says, "We need to be alone right now." Because here's the truth, the more powerful your healing becomes, the more disciplined your energy must be. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be precisely what you were designed to be: a conduit of emotional truth, a stabilizer of chaotic frequencies, a mirror that reflects others back to themselves with such clarity that they can no longer lie to their own soul. That's why people cry around you. That's why they confess things they've never told anyone. That's why they feel inexplicably safe in your presence. Your aura is not just energy, it's medicine. But you'll only be able to hold that medicine if you stop trying to fix everyone and start honoring your own calibration first. You cannot heal from depletion. You cannot serve from collapse. You must learn to source your energy from your own alignment, not from external validation. That means prioritizing your rituals. That means saying no even when it disappoints people. That means letting go of the guilt that has been programmed into you for putting yourself first. And now we go deeper, because there's a secret that most never talk about. The empath's real power doesn't come from how much they feel, it comes from how accurately they read the energy beneath the emotion. You're not just feeling sadness, you're sensing the soul's longing. You're not just feeling anger, you're detecting the boundary that was never spoken. You're not just feeling anxiety, you're tuning into a timeline that's out of alignment. That's your gift. You're not here to react, you're here to read the code. And when you learn to do that, you start to speak into people's lives in a way that wakes them up. Not because you give advice, but because you name the thing they were avoiding. You feel what they buried. You bring light to what they feared to touch. And that's when the real healing happens, not when people feel better, but when they become more whole. That is the sacred role of the empathic healer, not to soothe symptoms, but to activate integration. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be true. And truth is not always comfortable. That's why so many empaths struggle. They confuse kindness with healing. But healing isn't always soft. Sometimes it's fierce. Sometimes it's the mirror no one wants to face. Sometimes it's the energy shift that breaks a cycle. That's why you must become brave. Brave enough to hold truth, even when it shakes the room. Brave enough to walk away from clients, friends, or lovers who only want your energy but not your essence. Brave enough to name what you feel, even when it's inconvenient. Because the world doesn't need more comfort, it needs conscious disruption. And you, dear empath, were made for that. So now I ask you the question that only your soul can answer. What would your life look like if you stopped using your empathy to survive and started using it to lead? What would happen if you stopped managing your sensitivity and started mastering it? What would shift if you stopped fixing others and finally began building yourself into the healer you were always meant to be? Because in the next part, we go all the way. We'll explore the embodiment of the empathic healer, how to live your mission without burnout, how to channel your gifts into real-world impact, and how to walk through this world as a sovereign, sacred, activated empath whose pain has been fully transformed into powerful purpose. There comes a point in every empath's journey where survival is no longer enough, where emotional management, self-care routines, and spiritual maintenance stop being the goal and start becoming the foundation for something greater. That something is embodiment. It's no longer about healing just to feel better. It's about healing so you can lead, so you can serve, so you can build a new world from the inside out. This is what it means to be an empathic leader, not someone who dominates or controls, but someone who walks into a space and shifts the entire frequency just by being fully present in their truth. A leader who isn't afraid to be vulnerable, to be real, to feel deeply and still stand tall. Someone who doesn't hide their scars but wears them like armor made of light. Because now you know your pain wasn't random. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw. Your empathy was never meant to be a weakness. It was meant to be your superpower. And now it's time to use it. To live as a fully activated empathic healer means you stop waiting for a perfect moment to step into your purpose. You create it moment by moment, breath by breath. You don't wait to be certified. You don't wait to be validated. You don't wait to be ready. You remember that your readiness was forged in every dark night of the soul you endured. You build your offerings, your voice, your presence from the same energy that once broke you. You turn the rubble into ritual. You turn the silence into structure. You let your life become your medicine bag, filled with experiences that others are still too afraid to talk about. And when you speak, when you write, when you create, when you hold space, people will feel it. Not because you're louder than others, but because you are realer than most. Because your frequency carries authenticity, and in a world addicted to pretending, authenticity is revolutionary. But let's get even more honest. Living this way requires discipline. Not the kind of discipline rooted in suppression or control, but the kind rooted in devotion. You must become devoted to your alignment, devoted to your boundaries, devoted to your body, devoted to the sacredness of your own energy. You can no longer afford to play small. You can no longer afford to stay in friendships that drain you, environments that numb you, or habits that dull your inner voice. Your mission is too big. Your light is too needed. And your pain has already cost you too much to waste the wisdom it gave you. You didn't survive what you did just to blend in. You didn't cry all those tears just to be liked. You didn't walk through hell just to live a life that doesn't reflect your soul. So now you must choose, are you going to rise, or are you going to keep reliving the pain of your past? Because here's the truth, your purpose doesn't arrive fully formed. It reveals itself as you walk. As you take one aligned step, the next one appears. As you say yes to your voice, opportunities start finding you. As you stop apologizing for your depth, You begin attracting people who are hungry for your truth, but only if you're willing to be seen, only if you're willing to speak, only if you're willing to stop hiding behind the story of, "I'm just too sensitive," and start telling the new story, "I've been chosen to feel so I can heal." That's the shift from empath to embodied healer. It's the moment you become a transmitter, not just a receiver. It's when you stop being affected by the world and start affecting the world through the frequency you hold. And this frequency? It's not performative. It's not about being the spiritual one in the room. It's about being the most honest one, the one who walks with integrity, the one whose energy is so coherent, so clear, that anything false starts to fall away in your presence. That's what embodiment feels like. It's not loud. It's magnetic. It's not about perfection. It's about integration. It's about having done the inner work so deeply that your outer world starts to mirror your soul's blueprint. People will feel it. They'll say things like, "I don't know what it is about you, but I feel safe around you." Or, "Talking to you helped me see something I couldn't see before." That's not ego. That's evidence that you've become a living field of transformation. That's what happens when you stop carrying your pain as a burden and start wearing it as your badge of service. So let's talk about service, because this is where most empathic leaders get stuck. We want to help everyone. We want everyone to feel seen, understood, healed. But we must remember, not everyone is ready. You are not here to save people. You are here to embody your truth so fully that those who are ready will rise in your field. You don't have to chase. You don't have to convince. You don't have to overextend. You simply have to hold your alignment and let your energy do what it was designed to do, awaken others. This is how you serve without burning out. This is how you give without depleting. You serve from overflow, not from obligation. You serve from sovereignty, not from saviorhood. Your only job is to stay clear, stay true, and stay present. The rest will unfold around you. So now I ask you one final question, one that only you can answer in the quiet of your own being. Are you ready to live as the healer your pain trained you to be? Not someday, not when it's perfect, not when it's safe, but now. Are you ready to turn your survival into sacred service? Are you ready to let your sensitivity become your strategy, your intuition become your compass, your compassion become your leadership? Because the world is shifting, and the frequency of truth is rising. And those of us who feel deeply, who love fiercely, who carry ancient codes in our blood, we are being called to rise. Not just for ourselves, but for the collective, for the future, for the generations who will inherit what we build. And if you're still here, if you've made it this far, then you are not just meant to awaken. You are meant to lead the awakened. You are meant to become a lighthouse in a storm, a sacred flame in the dark, but a healer in the flesh, whose very existence is a reminder that pain is not the end, it is the beginning of purpose. So take a breath, feel your body, remember your journey, and then begin, not as someone who is broken, but as someone who has been forged by fire and now chooses to shine. You are more than empathic. You are more than intuitive. You are an activated frequency of healing itself. Walk forward now, not with fear, but with fire. And so now we stand at the edge of something greater than content. This isn't just a message, a script, or a video anymore. It's a frequency transmission. A living vibration that has passed through your eyes, into your nervous system, and down into the core of who you are. And if you've stayed with this message all the way through, it means that something in you has shifted. A door has opened. A frequency has stabilized. You've moved from knowing to remembering, from surviving to embodying, from wondering if you're meant to heal to realizing that healing is what you've always done. Every time you held someone in their sorrow, every time you offered compassion where others gave judgment, every time you stayed soft in a world that tried to harden you, you were already fulfilling your mission. You were already being the healer even before you had the words, the framework, or the belief in yourself. But now you have the blueprint, you have the map, and more importantly, you have the permission to stop shrinking, to stop playing empathic hide and seek with your own power, to stop thinking that healing has to look a certain way, or that you're not ready because you still feel fear. You will feel fear. You will feel doubt. You will feel moments of heaviness. But the difference now is you know what to do with it. You know how to sit in it, listen to it, hold it, and transmute it. That's what makes you not just a feeler, but a leader. You lead by example. You lead by frequency. You lead by walking the talk in a way that words could never fully capture. And make no mistake, this world is desperate for that kind of leadership. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, grounded, galactic kind. The kind that walks into a room and immediately calls everyone else into coherence. The kind that hears the pain beneath the words and responds to the real need, not just the surface story. The kind that can hold chaos without collapsing. The kind that can say no without guilt. The kind that can say yes without hesitation. And the kind that can say, I don't know, with the strength of someone who trusts the mystery. That's who you are now. Not because you read these words, but because you felt them activate what was already in you. So where do you go from here? You go inward, then you go outward. You anchor, then you act. You honor your nervous system, your energy field, your sacred yes, and your even more sacred no, and then you build whatever your soul came here to build. Maybe it's a healing practice. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a community. Maybe it's a family. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a single moment of eye contact with a stranger that changes their life. Big or small, seen or unseen, your power is real. Your impact is immediate. And your healing is already happening simply because you choose to walk awake. You don't need more time. You don't need more signs. You don't need more proof. You are the sign. You are the proof. You are the timeline shift. Now go. Write the story only you can write. Speak the message only you can speak. Heal the hearts only your frequency can reach. The world doesn't need perfect empaths. It needs embodied ones. The world doesn't need more people who feel. It needs people who feel and act with integrity, with devotion, with fire. You are not just a healer. You are a living portal to truth. And your presence is the prayer that this earth has been waiting for. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for being here. Thank you for becoming who you truly are. We see you. We feel you. We need you. And the time is now.